Hello, all, and welcome to a new episode of the Horror Countdown Podcast. I'm your host, Don Anelli, and with me tonight are two special guests. I have my first returning guest, Mr. Charles D. Lincoln,
Howdy.
and his partner, Chelsea LeSage.
It's LeSage, but you're close.
I was gonna ask.
It's all right. I'm happy to be here. It's LeSage in every other country. I get yelled at in Europe. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, she goes to France and they tell her name
They
is
yell at me
being
all the time.
said wrong.
Yeah, so-
Well, at least I'm not the only one that's made that mistake. But either way, it's great to have you guys both on board for this.
Thank you. It's good to be back.
Yes.
So for tonight's show, we are going to be doing our favorite H.P. Lovecraft adaptations. Now, you guys said that you had a special little way that you concocted your list. So
Yeah. We had our own lists and then we were kind of like, let's combine them.
Yeah, we'll be here for 5 hours.
Because
otherwise.
we also kept having like the same titles, so it was like, oh,
Yeah.
okay, well then let's just I think there was like one title that was different on our list.
So
we're
it's
just
like the CL Squared Productions
Yes.
top 10.
Yes.
yeah, okay, yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah, so even though there's three people on the show, there will only be two lists. So yeah. So what we're going to be doing tonight is we are going to be doing strict adaptations, not influenced by or loosely inspired. It's confirmed adaptations. Is
Yeah.
what I was going under. So that was how I kind of made my list. So what was the point for choosing this one? What was the overall point of the exercise?
I think it's just because we've been so immersed in Lovecraft and like the stuff that's happening in the new season of Demon Hunter. Not to spoil anything, but we're really going into that a little bit.
Yeah, and then even in like in the first season, like little nods to Lovecraft. It's
Yeah.
just it was well overdue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I was like, no one has done Lovecraft adaptations. That's funny.
Preposterous.
One's old guy, but but
Haberdashery.
yes, it is not hat fucking skills. God damn it, Chelsea. But
Just here for a good time.
but yeah, no, like we were just like, he has such influence over a lot of horror fiction today. And no matter what you think of the actual guy, to me, honestly, as a mixed race person, I think it's hilarious that I'm like talking about Lovecraft.
Yeah, I've been meaning to ask you about that.
Yeah,
dude.
because so much of his stuff is basically just race mixing is evil, but it's I think that he had a huge influence and stuff, and I kind of love the whole thing how he would take the tradition of other authors, contributing to his work, and then because I like kind of carrying that on by taking some of his stuff and putting it into mine, and I hope one day someone takes some of my stuff and puts it into theirs.
Aw. Good to
All
drink.
right.
It'll happen.
Yeah. All right. So with that being said, who wants to take the lead and start in on their list?
Well, I'm going to go with the first one. So number 10. Number 10 is Whisper in Darkness, directed by Sean Brainey from 2011, which is an adaptation of, The Whisper in Darkness. This got number 10 because it was serviceable.
I feel like it's bad.
It's not bad, but I mean, it's obviously done with a lot of love. It's black and white. It's I guess it kind of fits like something that might have been done in the 1920s when the story was originally written. Because a lot of these adaptations, they modernize things or they change locations.
And they're not in Massachusetts. Of course, that's my favorite thing is like a mass hole that everything's always like in some fictional town in Massachusetts. But it's fine. I got over that.
And so I thought that this was like, well, this is fine. It gets into the top 10 because, as I said, there's stuff like the modern Castle Freak, which I just thought was really bad. So it gets there because that's one of the things. Like a lot of when I originally came up with this idea and stuff, I was like looking at them like, oh, I only have like 7 that I really enjoy. So let's start watching a whole bunch of other Lovecraft stuff.
That was even still more than I was aware of, which was really cool.
And then so we started watching a whole lot of other Lovecraft stuff, and I discovered it's there's no middle ground. It's usually really good or really bad. Except like this, I'm like, this is fine. It feels very dry and academic, but it's compared to some of the stuff that's bad, it gets on the list.
And I'm a sucker for black and white.
Yeah.
Hmm. Nice. I don't think I've seen that one. I've seen another adaptation of Whisper in the Darkness. I don't remember where it was from. I think it was a couple of years after.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, because I know that there's been several adaptations or short, short adaptations of it. So I don't know if I've seen that one.
Oh
I,
yeah, I mean,
I'd have to compare it to make sure. But
yeah, there's a lot of adaptations that it's like I have two versions of the case of Charles Dexter Ward on here, so.
mm. Yeah, I've seen a few of those myself. But yeah, I can't really comment on that particular version because I can't recall if I've seen it.
Yeah.
But
Right.
yeah, not a bad way to start. My number 10, I went with Lurking Fear.
Mm.
Not necessarily like I think the most accurate adaptation, but
Mhm.
I definitely have a lot of fun with it. I think there's three different storylines at play here, and I think all of them are kind of well done. You get a nice little bit of creature action in there. You have a lot of fun with the underground tunnels at the end, which is always a big plus.
Yeah.
And you have Jeffrey Combs doing Jeffrey Combs things,
Yeah.
so that's
Yeah.
always a fun time in my book. So
Was that another Stuart Gordon one? Because I didn't have that on my
no,
list, so I wasn't sure.
no, that one was Courtney Joyner.
Okay.
I
Cool.
think there's another. I don't know. I don't think that was the official name credited, but that's all I can remember.
Okay. Yeah.
I think there's like three parts to it or something, but
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Because I'm looking at, I'm like, I have like four Stuart Gordon ones, so that's why I'm like.
yeah, yeah. But that was yeah, like I said, it's not necessarily the most accurate adaptation, but I had enough fun with it.
Yeah.
For me, it was number 10 on my list. But
Nice.
yeah, on to you guys for number 9.
Number 9.
Number 9, The Dunwich Horror in 1970. There was Daniel Haller.
Holler.
Haller.
Holler.
Haller.
Heller?
Haller. We don't
I don't know.
know.
It's got Dean Stockwell in it.
Yes.
That's what we know. It's kind of a slow-paced movie, but it's still kind of, and the effects are not great, but it's the 70s, but it's I don't know, there's a charm to it,
Yes. I feel like it's a slow burn and you like wait for that payoff, and I didn't necessarily feel that, but it was it's cute.
I'm not sure anyone has ever referred to the Dunwich Horror as cute.
It's cute. Well,
But
it's us.
yeah.
They've never met me. Yes.
Nice. That one's on my list, so we'll be talking about that at a later point. So my number 9, I kind of went off the beaten path with this one. I'm not necessarily sure if it would be an official adaptation, but I think it's good enough to count for this. I went with 2009's Color from the Dark, which
Ooh.
is
I don't know that one.
yeah. So this is an Italian film from a director by name of Ivan Zuccon. He sort of did a slew of low budget adaptations, kind of from like the early 2000s up to around like 2010 or 2011.
Mm-hmm.
And he sort of switched from that into doing Lovecraftian influenced films from that point on. But yeah, he did not necessarily true adaptations, but like there's no mistaking the fact that this particular film is very loosely based on The Color Out of Space.
Yeah.
So as you could tell from the title, but
Yeah, I have never seen this version, but I've heard of it. So that's
yeah,
why I'm like, ooh, that's intriguing.
yeah, it's actually really good. I'm just a huge fan of Debbie Rochon. She plays the title character in this, and I just love the way that she plays crazy. She just
Nice.
yeah, I love her, and she's always been one of my favorites. And this is a fantastic role that she has here. She's the one that sort of goes mad. She plays the Nick Cage role. If you're
Yeah.
familiar with the Color Out of Space.
That is on our list.
It is.
Yeah. Yeah, so she's the one that takes over the Nick Cage going crazy role, and if you're familiar with Debbie Rochon, you know she does that
Yeah,
well.
yeah, I know Debbie Rochon. Yeah.
Cool. I want to
Yeah.
watch it now. Thank you.
Yeah. If you're familiar with Tubi, I think it's still on there.
Okay.
Great.
Yeah. So yeah, don't expect the most. It's low budget. It's Italian film filmed in English, so everybody else except Debbie is speaking their lines phonetically. So you got to get used to that. Low budget effects, but I really enjoyed it. It's
We covered Suspiria on our podcast,
We
so
did.
we know the
okay, cool.
the low budget Italian,
yeah. So yeah, like I said, if you're fine with that, it's worth a watch. No, not the greatest, but for me, I had enough fun with it that it made my list. So it's number 9.
All right, awesome. All right, well, our number 8 is our first first adaptation of the case of Charles Dexter Ward. It is The Resurrected. It's from 1991, directed by Dan O'Bannon, who people also would know from Life Force and Return of the Living Dead. It is, starring Chris Sarandon, who we had a whole thing on our podcast how we thought he was Susan Sarandon's brother,
We did.
and then discovered that she took his name. But it's a very interesting, and as I said, we have another adaptation of that later on, and it's really interesting to see like the different adaptations of the case of Charles Dexter Ward. This one, it kind of leans into a lot of it feels like an 80s horror movie. It definitely has that like thing you'd like be watching like a Rhonda Shore like hosting at like USA Up All Night. For those of you who are ancient enough to remember Rhonda Shear, but like it has kind of like a more B movie. It feels like a B movie that takes itself seriously.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. You're right.
Yeah.
All right, my number 8 is The Resurrected.
Oh, there you go.
I was trying not to say anything, but yeah, that was my number 8.
Nice.
Yeah, I really I really got I really think that's pretty accurate. The 80s influence there that kind of takes place in the 90s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it definitely has that like that feel of something I would have like rented at like Blockbuster on like a Friday night or something
the
like
Blockbuster video, yes.
It feels like a horror movie that you would watch even if you didn't know who H.P. Lovecraft was. It's just
Yeah,
kind of
because
like
it's well, because it
whole-
doesn't take the name, so it's not like one that you would have like
Yeah.
it plastered over the box art.
Yeah, well, I mean, the other one also, I'm really gonna have fun with the next adaptation of Case of Charles Dexter Ward. But yeah, no, it was I really really enjoyed it. But it's still it's very dated, but it's dated in a good way.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I love the atmosphere here. I love the mystery of him being off alone and her going through the motions of trying to investigate. That's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And then all of the strange deaths that take place around the village. I think that's all kind of it handles the storyline pretty well. So
Yes, agreed.
yeah, I have a lot of fun with it too. So that's why it's number 8 on my list. So
Yeah.
So since that's kind of unfortunate, I'll take my number 7 now.
Okay, go for it.
So yeah, my number 7 was Dagon.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
It's that high up. Okay.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of this one. I kind of really only have issues with the CGI, but
Mhm.
other than that, I really like this one. I love the quirky setup. I love the I shouldn't say quirky setup. I should say the main setup and then the quirky characters.
Yeah.
The locals are really kind of fun and eerie. There's a nice mystery about why they're they look the way they do.
Yeah.
And I've always been a sucker for nude Spanish actresses who turn into
Who
mermaids.
hasn't been? Yes.
So yeah, I really like the queen in this. She's pretty pretty
Uzia, I believe.
Ugia, yeah.
Ugia, yeah.
I wasn't going to attempt that, but since you guys tried, I'll follow your lead.
There's a special thanks too in the credits to someone named Ushia as well, which is wild.
Yeah.
Like
I think that's actually the actress's name.
Oh,
I think
okay.
she went by.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I didn't stop to check out the credits because I was just listening to the fucking score.
Yeah.
I love the choral, like
Gregorian chants.
Cthulhu Fhtagn,
Yeah.
made into a score. We'll go into that one a little later because that's on our list.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Yeah.
That's definitely on our list.
But yeah, no, I've always been a fan of that one, and yeah, my main issues with it have always been the outdated CGI. So
Yeah.
I've been a big fan of that one for a long time. So
Yeah.
that was my number 7.
Our number 7 is our first Stuart Gordon of the list.
Is it Castle Freak?
Yes.
Castle Freak.
Nice.
From 1995. And we want to emphasize the 1995 Castle Freak,
Yes.
not the what was it, 2020, the one that I saw. Like, ooh, this is
bad.
Yeah, this is not good.
See, I didn't mind the remake. I didn't think it
Mhm.
was awful. I would probably be like you and say it was about average because I like a few of the directions it went, but I don't really like the finale, and that's kind of
Yeah.
the big thing. I think the finale it kind of just goes off the rails into something it's never really supposed to be.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I
but
mean,
yeah,
it's
I don't mind it until then. But
Yeah, well, I mean, Castle Freak is kind of like it's an adaptation of two works. It's Dunwich Horror and what's the other one? Uh,
Outsider, I think, right?
what?
I think it's the Outsider, right?
It might be. Yes, it's The Outsider. It's The Outsider. Yeah, it's The Outsider and Dunwich Horror kind of combined together.
Horror. I always make fun of how he says horror.
Yeah, you're from Massachusetts.
Horror.
Anyway, so that's
Horror. Fun for me.
Park in the car in the car park and getting shout out.
I'm not from Boston.
So
Yes.
But
I'm from Arkham.
Yes, you went to Miskatonic University, I'm
I did.
sure.
I did.
But yeah, no, I do enjoy this one a lot. It was funny because I think this is the first time I've seen it since I was like 11 or something like that.
Yeah.
It's really interesting to revisit these films because I remember I saw Dagon all the time when I was younger, and then revisiting now, it's like I don't think I've seen it in like 7-8 years or something like that. So I'll say that our number 4 is probably also my excuse for why I wanted to do this because I was like, I want to watch this movie. Let me have an excuse to do this.
Yes.
Yeah,
But,
that's always a fun excuse. That's one of the reasons why I love doing this. Is I always love revisiting stuff that I've always thought, why did I like this so much? And then revisiting it and finding out, yeah, okay,
It's
I
like
always
rediscovering why you love it.
Yes. Yes. So did your number 7 was Dagon or?
number 7 was Dagon, and my number 6 is Castle Freak.
Oh, there you go.
Tied twice already. Jeez. Yeah, I really like this one too. I love their interactions together. The castle setting is just beautiful. I love the way it comes off. I'm not necessarily a fan of all the histrionics, with him drinking and all of the, personal squabblings, but the monster's fun. The gore is great. A little bit of sleaze thrown in there. I have a lot of fun with it. So
Just the right amount of sleaze.
So
Yeah.
our number 6 then is also going to be another one from the H.P. Lovecraft Historical Preservation Society. I think I got all their acronyms there. It's a really long acronym, actually.
Yeah, it is. Right.
It's their version of Call of Cthulhu, directed by Andrew Lehman in 2005. This is another one where they went black and white with it, and they kind of,
love that.
I think I one of the things that I do appreciate that the H.P. Lovecraft Historical Preservation Society
You did
does,
it again. Good job.
is that they try to keep things as accurate to the original story as possible. Like everything else we're talking about, like say Dagon changed it from Massachusetts to Spain, from Innsmouth to Imboca. So it's very interesting watching someone try to keep things as accurate to the original.
Right, and I love that very much. I love when they do that. I prefer that over most things. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, that one's on my honorable mentions. I love the authenticity of it. I love the atmosphere. I just have the hardest the time just getting immersed with silent film. That's just always
Yeah.
been my thing. So I appreciate them for what they are. I'm not the biggest fan. So for me
Yeah.
that one. So I love the way it comes off. I love the look. I love the pacing, the flow of it. It's just I have a hard time revisiting it, but
Yeah.
That's
yeah,
fair.
Yeah, no, it is an honorable mention, just because I think it's technically well made. I'm not the biggest fan of it, so.
Yeah.
You
But
just throw Charlie Chaplin in there too. Yeah, might as well.
Yes.
nice, yeah.
So our number 5. Did you do your number 6?
Yeah, my number 6 was Castle Freak. So
Okay. Cool.
yeah, my
All right.
number
Our
yeah,
number
my
5. I'm excited to read our number 5.
yeah, go
Um,
ahead.
Edgar Allan Poe's The Haunted Palace, directed by Roger Corman from 1963. I had seen this when I was a little kid, and when I was looking at Lovecraft movies to catch up on this, I put this on. I'm like, wait a minute, was the list inaccurate that I was looking at? And only to discover that these studios at the time, I think it was American Pictures International or something like that, did not feel that people knew who H.P. Lovecraft was.
Which is just ridiculous. Yeah.
So they instead were like, well, Roger Corman's done all these Edgar Allan Poe adaptations. So why don't we stick in like 8 lines of an Edgar Allan Poe poem?
And then attribute it to him.
Yeah, and just change the case of Charles Dexter Ward to be an Edgar Allan Poe story, even though it literally is just 8 lines of Poe and the rest is all Lovecraft.
Yep.
Nice, yeah. We
Starring
will be,
Vincent Price, by the way.
yeah, we will be talking about this one later.
Okay, awesome.
Brilliant.
Let's save that one then for
Yeah.
later.
So my number 5, I kind of did the same thing. Mine was another kind of early '60s Gothic adaptation. I went with Die Monster Die.
I've never seen
I
that,
have
actually.
not either.
Okay, so yeah, this is yet another adaptation of The Color Out of Space. This is Boris Karloff in his
Nice.
wheelchair-bound role years. So
Oh,
he's
wow.
yeah, so he doesn't really get to do much, but it's still Boris Karloff. So he still has that voice, that screen presence. Um, so basically, it's guy returning home, visiting his girlfriend's family, only to discover that a meteorite crash landed near their house, and it's
As you
basically
do.
yeah, as you do, and things get weird from there. So
Cool. I'll check it
yeah,
out.
it's a fun adaptation. It's straight out of the Corman Price Poe era kind of stuff, but a lot of those kinds of scares. It plays pretty heavily into that kind of thing. So if you're not into like the 60s style gothic horror, it's not going to be a fun time. You're going to find it pretty dull. But like I said, if you're into that those earlier kinds of films, you're really going to enjoy this one because it feels very much in tone with that, and Boris Karloff. So
Does it feel very like Hammer film or?
not high end Hammer. It feels more like the second bill Hammer, like
Okay.
so yeah, it's not like a Mummy or Curse of Frankenstein. It feels more like Revenge of Frankenstein, or kind of like the not one of their franchises, but one of their second films, kind of like the Reptile sort of.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, so it doesn't feel like A budget Hammer. It feels like B tier Hammer, but I still like B tier Hammer, so that's still.
Yeah.
So it's still good, but like I said, if you're not into that kind of thing, I can see this one kind of being a little dull. But I love '60s Gothic horror, so
Oh yeah.
yeah, I'm a big fan. So that's why it's number 5 on my list.
Yeah. Yeah, I had a it's a long story, but I had a whole ideas for like 60s Gothic horror stuff back when I was like living in LA, and no one wanted to give me the budget to do anything, so I never got to do
It's
any
their
of it.
loss.
But
Yeah, definitely sounds it.
yeah, so now the final 4. These 4, I love all 4 of these movies here. And I'm glad that most of them I've got. Chelsea's watched one of them on her own, and then the rest I brought to her.
Yes.
But yeah, so number 4 is another Stuart Gordon film.
He's all over the place.
Yeah, exactly. It's From Beyond, from 1986. I also wrote down the character's name of Crawford Tillinghast because I think that's the most hilarious, like waspy.
It's so waspy.
Yeah.
He probably Wash.
Well, it's Jeffrey. Oh my God, the character 100% plays squash, but he's not at studying the resonator or whatever.
Right.
But oh my God, I can't say enough good things about this film. I mean, it's kind of cheesy looking. It feels. I don't know if the budget went down from Reanimator or something, or maybe it's just because he tried to be more ambitious with like the creatures and and stuff like that, because it's cheesy looking, but it's really interesting about how, like, you know, for those who are unaware, it has to do with the resonator thing that kind of stimulates the pineal gland, and which some people believe exposes the third eye, and
Right.
it's the whole idea that maybe schizophrenics see
Mhm.
stuff that is there, just we can't see
can't
it
see it,
because
of
we don't
course.
have the perception to see it. And it's really interesting, like watching that, or like Barbara, when Barbara Crampton goes into her whole like Dom look and everything, and
Nice.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
oh, be still my erection.
But it's so funny because I've been watching a lot of like recent movies with Barbara Crampton, and then I watched this. I'm like, wow, Barbara Crampton used to be so hot.
So hot.
Like,
Okay, good. We're all
like
objectifying her. Good,
30
great. Okay,
years
good.
ago. But she's still a fine actress.
And
But,
hot.
yeah, but it's, I don't know, I really love the concept of it. I love and I love how Ken Foree is in this movie and appears to be in a completely different movie. Um, it's like he suddenly is like, hey man, I'm in a B movie,
Yeah, in his own little world.
and everyone else is taking it seriously, and he's just kind of going in the ice to play football, and like it's tackling Jeffrey Combs down the stairs while he's in his underwear and stuff, and I'm like, this is just, I love how Ken Foree is just like, you know what, I don't care what type of movie I'm in, I'm just gonna be Ken Foree,
Yeah.
and how everyone else takes it seriously, and I think that kind of like combination really works there.
Nice. Yeah, that's my number 4 as well, from
Okay,
Beyond.
there you go.
Yeah, 3 ties.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no, I definitely agree. I think it's really ambitious, and I love the whole concept of it. The decision to go more for creature effects and all of the hallucinations and different visions that he has. A lot of that is just really fascinating. It kind of feels a little too long in the final act, but I don't really fault it in the slightest because I love the hospital stuff. But
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
it's not even 90 minutes long. Like
True.
yeah.
it's I think it's like 81 minutes long or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe I saw the director's cut because I thought it was
Oh
maybe like
yeah.
85 because I
That's
thought it was like
fast.
80. But yeah, no, I'm a big fan of that one as well.
Yeah,
So
that's entirely possible. The version we saw on, like, I don't know if it's on Shutter or whatever, but we saw it through Amazon.
Yeah.
So that one's 180 sorry, not 180 minutes long. That'd be 3 hours. It's 81 minutes long.
oh yeah, I think I'd have to look through because I saw it earlier in the week for preparation, so it's in my collection somewhere. But
Yeah.
In your collection. Yes.
yeah, no, I'm a big fan of that one as well. So
In the laboratory.
The laboratory.
But
yeah,
speaking of which, that'll be one later one. I'm really going to go into probably two of the films here because I really love. So the next one, Chelsea, I know
The
you
Color
love this
Out of
one.
Space in 2019 was it Richard Stanley? Yeah, no,
Yep.
this was probably my number 1.
Yeah.
I anyone who's listening to this who knows me, I've always had an issue with Nick Cage. For the most part, this is, I mean, like, but he's so Nick Cage in this that I forget that he's Nick Cage, and I really enjoy his performance and how cheesy it is, but it's brilliant in its own right. Did you introduce me to this?
Yes.
You did, and I think that this is the one, like, the Lovecraft adaptation that I've seen more than anything. Like, now it's been, like, I don't know, like a dozen times almost. I find it thrilling. I don't know, the characters are all awesome, and also the color itself.
That weird purplish.
Yeah,
like,
I love it. I love it. I don't know. I could watch this every day.
And there's also stuff in it that I really like, as me who has my like warped mind, stuff like the mother and son like melding into one body
Yeah.
and stuff like that. Like I just find it so like haunting and creepy, and I'm like, I love stuff like that. And plus, is that Tommy Chong? Like,
Yes.
it is?
yeah, that was him. Yeah.
Yeah.
I loved it. I remember I was watching this with my mother after you had showed it to me, and she was like, "This is fucking weird." Okay, got it. And she was like, "Is that a Chong?" She was like, "This is a great movie now."
Yeah, I love what he does. What's that cat that he's looking after?
Oh yeah, what the fuck is the cat's name? I don't remember.
Yeah,
I don't
because
know.
the cat's name that's like a sexual joke.
Yeah, it's a sexual joke, and I love how he brings it back at the end, and he's like, "You can look for him, but you're not gonna recognize him."
Yeah, I'm gonna avoid H.P. Lovecraft cat names. Just
smart.
I've read the novel, so
Very smart.
Yeah, I loved it when I first saw it as well. I just barely missed out on my list, but I'm a big fan of that one as well. That was a pretty solid one. So my number three, you guys already mentioned it. I went with the Dunwich Horrors.
Hmm.
So I think I probably like this one more than you guys do, but yeah, I had a lot of fun with this one. You know, 60s, 70s Gothic atmosphere, great setup. Love the whole premise of it. The corruption of Sandy D, the 60s early 60s surfer girl, and you
Yeah.
turn her into this satanic worshiping being
As you do.
yeah. Yeah, I had a lot of fun with it.
Nice, yeah.
Yeah, so my number three, I think, I had it higher on you guys, but I had the 1970 version of the Dunwich Horrors.
Nice.
I've never seen the remake of it.
I saw it once. I don't remember much about it, but I always thought it was too CGI. They went with the the obvious CGI for the being
Yeah,
trying to
yeah.
get
Right.
into the world. But other than that, I don't remember hating it. I don't remember loving it, but I've only seen it the once because I saw it when it aired on TV.
Fair.
So it's something I'd have to revisit. But I didn't get to find it because I don't know where it's streaming because I haven't been able to see it since. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I vaguely remember not hating it but not loving it,
Yeah.
and really just hating the CGI being like the big downfall with that one. So
Right.
if I could revisit that one, I'd love to see where I stand because I've only seen it the once. But
Fair.
yeah, so
Okay.
on to our big number twos.
Number two. Number two is one of my favorite movies. Even though it's weird because it's like as
Like of
far
all
as
time.
yeah, it's like it's one of my
his
favorite movies of all time. But if we're going by Lovecraft adaptations, it's number two.
Yeah.
It's like if I had to rank which movie I liked as a movie, this would be ahead of number one. But as far as adaptations go, it's number two, and that would be Reanimator, another Stuart Gordon film from
We love you.
1995. An adaptation of Herbert West, Reanimator.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what I can. We did a whole podcast about how much we love this movie. It is. I saw this, I think the first time when I was like 13 or something like that, and I've probably seen it like 70, 80 times since then.
Nice.
Everything from just how incredibly unhinged Jeffrey Combs is as Herbert West, to I love and the laboratory thing. That's
laboratory.
Oh my God, I don't know the actor's name, but I always refer to him as like John Kerry.
Right. Yes.
Yeah, because
that's not John Kerry.
He looks like either John Kerry or Mitt Romney.
Yes.
He has that like Massachusetts politician look about him.
Yes.
As the doctor who eventually gets his head severed, and
as you do.
yeah, and eventually has this like zombie army, and I love the visual pun of the head giving head.
Yeah, if you were listening to our podcast, Charles is just going fucking nuts the entire time.
Yeah,
No, it's a great movie. I enjoy it very much too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're big Reanimator fans, and I will say, I do not like the sequels at all. I'm not a fan of Bride of Reanimator. I'm not a fan. I don't even know what the last one was called, like Return of Reanimator or
something like
No, I think it was Beyond.
Beyond Reanimator.
I think it was
Yeah, I don't like those two very much at all.
That's his number one, didn't you know?
No, I've seen Beyond once, and I don't remember much. I remember liking the idea of him doing it in prison, but I don't remember much else about it. I haven't seen Bride either, or I haven't seen Bride other than the once either. I remember liking it, but I haven't gone back to revisit it, so I can't say much about it.
Yeah. Bride, the one thing I remember is the doctor who somehow got his head uncrushed. decides to basically graft bat wings onto the back of the head.
You can't do that.
Yeah, there was like that weird thing where he's able to, get the wings and fly around and torment him in that one scene.
Yes.
For that, yeah.
Yeah, so he's just like a flying like Mitt Romney head and stuff, and it's just like that's the only thing I remember about the movie, because I was just like, this is absurd, and everything else was just like this feels like a very useless sequel to a really fun movie.
Yeah, I think there was it felt too much like Society because of Screaming Mad George.
Yeah.
Yeah, it felt a little too much like Society for me, but I can't say much more than that. I will say this, in order to further conversation, Reanimator is my number one, so I'll say my number two with your number one. But yeah, Reanimator for me is one of my all-time favorite films. It's probably maybe in my top 10. I'm a huge fan of that one. Yeah, it's just so bonkers and so off the wall, and you know, there's just so much fun to be had between Herbert and Dan. There's just so much fun together.
Yeah.
And all of the just bizarre gags and the infamous line. What was he gonna put in the note? Cat dead, details later.
Yes.
I mean, just it's such a classic. Yeah, I'm a big fan of that one. Like you said, head giving head, can't go wrong there.
Yeah.
Great zombie gore.
And honestly, like, Jeffrey Combs has been good in everything he does, but him as Herbert West sticks out the most.
You're right.
Out of all his other performances.
Yeah, true. I mean, even in Castle Freak, where he's playing not necessarily a similar type of character, but I can easily see that as like a Herbert West 10 years later.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, the guy, he's been drummed out of the society and he for all of those experiments, and he's now a drunken dad who married the first mom he hooked up with. Yeah, I can easily see that guy from Castle Freak being Herbert West 10 years later with just an older daughter.
Nice.
But yeah, Reanimator is my number one, so I'll talk about my number two with your number one.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it'll be a little out of order. Hope you guys can follow that along. But
we're geniuses. We can do it.
Yeah.
He's talking about the listeners, but that's fine. We're obviously
listeners. So
we love our listeners.
Yeah. So what's your number one?
Our number one is Dagon. Another Stuart Gordon film, actually.
Yes. That's why, did you see, Don, did you see Charles's face when you were like, and put it at number 7? Like, I saw the light flash before your eyes.
No, I was looking down at my list. I was making sure I was crossing everything off on time.
Yeah.
Fair.
I just feel like Dagon is probably like the best made Lovecraft adaptation. I think the locations are amazing.
I love that seaside town that they use there. That thing is just absolutely amazing.
Getting that little village in Spain and stuff to shoot in and stuff. And I think honestly the fact that it's a lot of it is in a language that isn't familiar to America, because it's in Spain, but it's not Spanish. It's like Gallego or something like that. It's
only spoken in like one little sect in Spain, and I don't even know if that's true anymore. Is it officially a dead language? I don't know.
Yeah, like it's no, it's commonly spoken over there, but it's not
in just one little
it hasn't spread around the world, But I find, like, to me that helps make Mboka a lot more alien. That it's that it's not like if it's in Spanish, like we're especially us in New York, we hear enough Spanish that we'd
pick up on
pick up on some of it and understand some of it. But the fact that it's in like this language that like it's like my friend who is Puerto Rican came over and she was like, what language are they speaking?
Yeah, I can understand what you're saying though when you were saying that like the CGI, like I guess it, like the counter of that with the practical effects, like it's a noticeable difference. So I can totally understand that.
But I mean, like the practicals are great. Like when they skin the dude's face.
The skinning is still, I think, one of the best visual effects I've seen.
Yeah, that's what Charles was saying literally today. He was like, this is my favorite death ever.
I didn't say it's my favorite death ever, but I'm like, it looks so much more painful than most.
What's your favorite death ever?
Oh, that'd
Never
be a whole
mind.
different
Different
list.
podcast.
That'd be a whole different list. I'm not gonna give away my number one for that, but yeah, no, like, I love every aspect of it, and it's probably the only one on the list too, coming as a former musician, where I remember the score.
And you can't find it anywhere.
Yeah, like it was real hard. Like I haven't been able to find it anywhere. Like, okay, yeah, I like the score from Reanimator, but it's pretty much the theme from Psycho.
Yeah.
So, um, so like, it's so haunting. Like I said, like the choral vocals, like chanting the Ia Cthulhu Fatagan, and all of that sort of stuff. Like I love that as an adaptation. I just think it's not my favorite. Like I said, I love Reanimator more. If you gave me a choice of watching the two, I would watch Reanimator over this. But I think it's the best made, the best done, and I think it kind of takes the material also the most seriously. Even if me and her were making jokes like, that's what happens when you don't allow an elder god to come. When
Yes.
when Dagon pops
When
back
you didn't
up,
let him finish.
yeah, but yeah, no, I really enjoy it. And I just like, I watch that and I'm like, I wish I could shoot a movie that looks like this, and hopefully one day, I can do something that as a filmmaker, it's like I said, like I love Reanimator, but I don't want to shoot something that looks like Reanimator.
Right.
Like I want to shoot something that looks like Dagon.
Nice. Yeah. I definitely agree. I love the visuals in this one. I think in terms of bringing to life the concepts and the mythos behind his writings, I think this is the closest. I think the
Yeah.
idea of existential cosmic terror, I think this is probably the closest.
Yeah.
Maybe Color Out of Space is up there too on that list in terms of how effective and it is at describing the visuals that he created. But yeah, this is absolutely one of the best adaptations. If it
Yeah.
might have even gone higher if I would have gotten if I would have organized this based on how accurate it is to his writings. This is definitely one or two.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it's on my list, as a film, but yeah, I really like that one as well. So, my number two, I went with The Haunted Palace.
Nice.
Edgar Allan Poe's The Haunted Palace.
Edgar Allan Poe's The Haunted Palace. Yeah. Uh, Vincent Price, Roger Corman, 60s Gothic horror. I To me that is just an absolute recipe for perfection, and I'm a huge fan of those kinds of films anyway. So yeah, this was an absolute no-brainer for me on my list. And it's not number one, but I'm a huge fan of this one. I mean, it's Price doing what he does best, and he's
Yeah.
just an absolute sight to behold. I'm a huge fan of him.
Yeah, he's a work of art, like in and of himself. He really is. Yeah.
Yeah, like I know I had seen this as a kid, but I didn't, this is because my dad used to show me all those like Vincent Price, like The Pit and the Pendulum,
Yeah.
all those like the Edgar Allan Poe adaptations.
I love how they put Lovecraft. They put like a quote from Lovecraft at the end of the movie too.
Oh no, that wasn't Love. That's Edgar Allan.
No, that was the Poe quote.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
okay,
that was the Edgar Allan Poe quote. The whole movie is H.P. Lovecraft. It's just those little random. Let's have Vincent Price just have his voice do a voiceover.
Oh, I was talking about like superimposed on the screen.
Yeah, that was.
Oh
that,
shit.
Yeah,
okay.
that's Edgar Allan Poe.
Fair.
Yeah.
That is the haunted palace.
Yeah, because that's where the title comes from, because that's the
From
poem
the
that they
lines
use.
of Edgar Allan Poe
so
that stuck in there.
Yeah, the poem that he reads at the end, that's from the short story The Haunted Palace. That's where they get the title from.
That makes
Yeah.
sense.
But yeah, other than that, yeah, it's just a pretty straightforward adaptation of Charles Dexter Ward. So
Yeah. You can. Oh, everyone can look forward to our Cynthia Plath's The Shining.
But yeah, no, I love Haunted Palace. That is just great stuff. And
Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
yeah. But yeah, I guess that will do it for now. So I don't know if either of you guys have any honorable mentions to shout out real quick.
No, we don't.
Yeah, the only one I do have a couple. Like I said, I had the Call of Cthulhu. I also had the Necronomicon Book of the Dead anthology.
I've seen that, but like I remember liking some of it and not liking other parts of it.
Yeah, I think I think they probably could have fixed something in each of the segments, so it's not on my list for that reason. But I generally like the idea behind all three. And again, you got Jeffrey Combs and uh,
Right.
Lovecraft thing, so it's always fun for that.
Yeah, it's
Um,
it's it's interesting because like at a certain point I was like, did Stuart Gordon do stuff that wasn't Lovecraft? Like,
Yeah.
well, he did dolls,
Yeah. But it's
so
like everything I love
yeah,
from Stuart Gordon is
It's
all
Lovecraft.
Lovecraft.
I know that was I even had his adaptation Dreams in the Witch House.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
was another honorable mention for me. So yeah, that was another big Gordon Lovecraft adaptation. So
Yeah. From the for those who are unaware, does anyone know where you can watch the Masters of Horror now?
I think they're on Tubi.
Oh, they're on Tubi now? Okay,
Tubi's
cool.
amazing.
Yeah, no, I'm a big fan of that as well. I think they're there. I don't know if they have both seasons. I think they have the first one for sure.
Hmm.
Very cool.
So I don't
Well,
know why
really,
they.
if we're being honest, you really only need the first one.
I did like a couple segments. I'm not gonna lie. I did like a couple things in the second one. I did like our general second one, Pelts.
Yeah, I did not like that one. I really
Oh,
didn't. Yeah, I didn't really like that. The only one I like on the second season was the Screwfly solution.
yeah, that one was another one.
Because that one is legit frightening.
Yeah, that one. My top three for season two were Pelts, Screwfly Solution, and Washingtonians, the historical society one.
That's none of my favorites, but I love the concept of it. It's one of those
That
things where
was
it's like it's not necessarily good, but I love the whole idea of George Washington was a cannibal and that
Wait,
they
now I have to watch
that
this.
they
What?
yeah, like it's such an absurd and
yeah,
like concept. It feels like the type of thing like, like I would tell if I had a kid, I would tell them to go to bed or something. Like
yeah,
you don't want George Washington to come get you in the middle of the night and
That's
eat you.
too funny.
yeah,
you
yeah.
know,
I mean, I'm not gonna say that any of those are as good as the best of the from season one. I mean, season one just absolutely blew it away. But
I will say I think Cigarette Burns is probably even I love John Carpenter, but I actually think Cigarette Burns is the best thing John Carpenter has ever done.
That's some words. Wow. Right.
it's in my top five.
Yeah.
It's in my top five. I'm not gonna dispute it much more than that, but yeah, I absolutely love Cigarette Burns. It's like I
Yeah.
said, it's one of my all-time favorites. So I'm not really much more. I don't really disagree with that one that much. But
Yeah, yeah.
Nice.
yeah, so guess with that, let people know where they can find you guys online.
Well, you can find Chelsea.
Yes, I'm on Instagram at chelsea.lesage. Lesage, no, Lesage.
LeSage.
Lesage Lesagi. Lesage on Instagram, and then I have a chelsealesage.com where you can find out everything that I'm up to.
Yeah. I can be found on Instagram at charles.d.lincoln.
Yes, and then CL Squared Productions, we have a lot of shit going on, and you can find us pretty much everywhere.
Yeah, as CL Squared Productions. We also have, we might as well promote the Teresa and Allison DVD and Blu-ray, which is available anywhere that you can get Blu-rays and DVDs. It's Amazon, Walmart, Barnes and Noble, Best Buy, any of those sort of places. You can go out and if they don't have it in the store, you can special order it from their websites, and you can see that. We don't have the announcement yet, but soon we'll have when 21st Century Demon Hunter will be available there. And we also have, probably by the time you're hearing this, we will have an Indiegogo campaign for our latest film, Nowhere Fast.
Yes.
So, which is going to be kind of crazy. It's about an all-female punk band on the first night of their first tour and basically running into hell on earth. So it's kind of like it's more fucked up things from our fucked up brains. But
Yeah.
it's
We're perfect. What are you talking about?
yes, but
We've never had a bad thought ever.
no, not at all. But yeah, no. So definitely purchase Teresa and Allison. It should be on a streaming thing fairly soon. We can't say which one. But we're waiting to hear from our distributor on that. I actually have to send an email like tomorrow.
Great, I have a computer.
Um, really? Here I was thinking we were just talking into like
Into the Necronomicon.
Yes, exactly. the voices after getting my piano gland fucking stimulated, and so like you mean other people can hear him too? But but yeah, so you can check us out on that and our social media and stuff, and definitely check out Teresa and Allison.
Yes.
It's a fun, fine family film.
It's a family film.
Yes, that everybody can enjoy sitting around the table and don't know.
No children.
They'll call CPS on you.
Like, Charles, I'm getting arrested. You'll be like, me too.
But yeah, so but definitely check that out. And as I said, our series 21st Century Demon Hunter will be available probably in the fall.
Yes.
Both seasons, both seasons on DVD and Blu-ray. And also hopefully streaming. That'll also have to go with our with our distributor. But yeah, and then as I said, look for next year Bishop's Cove and Nowhere Fast.
Woohoo!
All right, awesome. Yeah, everything listed will be down below in the show notes for you to find pretty easily. So go ahead and definitely give them a follow and check their stuff out. But that will be it for now. So thank you guys. Yeah, thank you guys both for coming. This was a lot of fun.
Thanks.
Fun.
It was fun to be back, and I'm sure Chelsea had a fine time.
It was fine. No, I really, really loved it. Thank you. I'd love to come back again.
Yeah, definitely. So with that, we will see you later.
All right, everyone. Take care.